The stars looked calm, but the galaxy was not. Long ago, many alien empires ruled the stars. They thought they were strong. They built tall cities on moons, traded between star systems, and held grand meetings in space stations. Yet behind their peaceful talks, there were fears. Whispers of a faraway planet, a strange, dangerous world circulated among the stars. A planet full of storms, wild animals, and a species too stubborn to quit. They called it Earth. They called its people Death Worlders. But Earth stayed quiet. Its people did not join the Galactic Union. They watched, listened, and grew stronger in silence. One day, a small shuttle flew into the outer edge of human space. Its engines sputtered. Its hull was cracked. The signal was weak but clear. A request for help. On board was a young alien named Vetra from the Kindari species. Her planet had been taken over by a powerful warlike group called the Varnok. Varnok didn't destroy cities. They didn't drop bombs. Instead, they used fear. They moved into places quietly, taking control of food, power, and water. They smiled as they made people kneel. The Kindari begged other alien governments for help, but none came. The Union was afraid. No one dared to stand up to the Varno. So, Vetra did something no Kindari had ever done. She flew toward Earth. Her ship barely made it past the outer patrol. Human satellites noticed her at once. They scanned her ship and found no weapons. A few minutes later, a message came in. "This is Earth's command. Identify yourself." Vetra, weak and tired, replied, "I seek help. My people are suffering, please." There was silence. Then another voice, calmer, clearer, said, "Prepare for landing." Her ship was guided to a small outpost station near Jupiter. Human scientists and officers met her. She expected tall warriors in battle armor, but they wore simple uniforms. They didn't look scary at all, but their eyes were calm, not cold, not angry, just ready. Like they had already faced worse and survived. One of the humans, a man named Captain Marlowe, stepped forward. "We heard the stories," he said, "but tell us what happened in your own words." Vetra told them everything about the Varnok, about her home, and about how the galaxy had turned its back on her people. Her voice shook, her hands trembled. When she finished, she expected silence, maybe even rejection. But Captain Marlowe nodded slowly. "You're not the first to come." "To us," he said. Vetra blinked. "I'm not." He looked out the window at the stars. Many years ago, another race came here, asking the same thing. We helped. Quietly. We don't like showing off. But we don't like bullies either. Vetra felt a flicker of hope. Captain Marlowe continued. "Earth has a rule. We don't start wars, but we do finish them." He turned to the others. "Get this message to Earth Central. We need to wake the fleet." Vetra's breath caught. Fleet. One of the younger human officers smiled. "Oh, you haven't seen it yet." Outside the station, hidden behind asteroid fields and gas clouds, the Death Worlder fleet waited. Massive ships, each one quiet as a shadow, but strong as a storm. They were not for showing power. They were for protecting the weak. They had waited for years, never used. Only tested, but always ready. The galaxy thought Earth was just watching. They were wrong back in the Kindari system. The Varnak tightened their grip. They had no idea what was coming, as Vetra stood by the station window and looked at Earth's ships. She whispered, "They're coming. For us." And far away, deep in space, a signal lit up. The Death Worlder fleet was on the move. Vetra couldn't believe what she was seeing. She stood in a quiet room inside the human space station. Through the wide glass window, she saw ships unlike any she had ever seen. They were huge, but moved silently, like quiet giants waking from a long sleep. Their dark hulls reflected the stars. Some were shaped like arrows, others like wide wings. All of them looked strong. Captain Marlowe stood beside her, watching the same view. "These ships?" Vetra asked softly. "How many are there?" Answered, "Enough." Vetra turned to him. "Why have you hidden them?" He gave a small smile. We never wanted war, so we built in silence. But when people ask for help, we don't turn away. A young human officer, Lieutenant Hale, entered. "The room, sir," he said to Marlowe. "Earth Command has approved the mission. Fleet units are ready. They await coordinates." Marlowe looked at Vetra. "Can you give us the location of your home world?" Vetra nodded quickly. Her hands moved over the control screen. A star map appeared, and she marked a system near the edge of Kindari space. "It's here," she said. "But there's more. The Varnak have taken over not just our planet, but the whole sector. They move slowly. They say it's for peace. But every month, another planet falls." Hale narrowed his eyes. "They conquer by fear," Vetra whispered. "Yes, and no one stops them. Until now." Marlowe looked at her. "They're not alone anymore." Within hours, the Death Worlder fleet started to move. The ships didn't travel in a straight line. They split into groups, using hidden gates and wormholes known only to Earth. Every movement was quiet, planned, and perfect. In the command center, Vetra watched as humans worked together like clockwork. They didn't argue. They didn't panic. Each person knew their job. Calm voices gave clear orders. She had seen many alien governments, most full of pride or fear, but these humans had something different. They had purpose. A few hours later, Vetra sat alone in a small resting room. The lights were soft, and the hum of the station was gentle. She thought about her family back home, her little brother who used to watch the stars, her mother who always sang during storms, her father who told her never to be afraid of the truth. She held back tears. A soft knock came at the door. It was Lieutenant Hale. "Can I sit?" he asked kindly. She nodded. He sat beside her. "I know it's a lot, but we'll get there. And we'll help." Vetra looked down. "What if it's too late?" Hale was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Sometimes people wait too long for someone to fight back. But when help comes, it means everything. Even one voice can give hope." She looked at him. "Why do humans help? What do you gain?" He gave a thoughtful smile. "We come from a hard world. Storms, volcanoes, wild creatures, cold winters. Everything tried to stop us, but we helped each other. That's how we survived. That's who we are." Vetra nodded slowly. "You fight not just with ships, but with heart." "Exactly," Hale replied. Back in the control center, the fleet was nearing Kindari space. They didn't enter with noise or threats. They used hidden sensors to scan Varnak patrol routes. They found weak spots, blind zones, and secret paths. The humans didn't want to scare everyone. They wanted to be smart. At the same time, a small scout ship was sent ahead. It carried a message, one that would reach the Kindari people in secret. "This is a message from Earth. You are not forgotten. Help is coming. Stay strong. We are near." When the message reached Vetra's homeworld, it spread like light through darkness. People whispered it in quiet corners. It gave them something they had lost long ago: hope. Meanwhile, the Varnak were unaware. Their control was slow and careful. They did not fear surprise. No one had ever dared to challenge them. But they did not know the humans were watching, and planning Captain Marlowe stood before a large star map. He pointed to key locations, Varnak bases, supply lines, command centers. "We won't strike all at once," he said to his officers. "We'll cut the routes first, quietly. We want to give the Kindari people a chance to rise. This fight isn't just ours, it's theirs too." Everyone nodded. Vetra entered the room. "I want to help," she said. Marlowe smiled. "Then you will. This is your story too." And so, with the stars above them and hope in their hearts, the Death Worlder fleet prepared for the first quiet step toward a new chapter, one where the forgotten would be heard. The stars above Kindari space seemed quiet. But below that calm, something was changing. The Death Worlder fleet moved like shadows between the planets. They did not fire. They did not shout. They simply watched, measured, and waited. Captains used secret satellites to map Varnak bases. The humans did not want to destroy. They wanted to break control without chaos. Vetra sat in the command room of the lead human ship, the Horizon. She watched the glowing maps of her home sector. Every dot on the screen meant something to her: a city, a village, a home. And every red mark showed where the Varnak had placed guards, gates, or supply posts. "They took our skies," she whispered. "But they don't own our spirit." Captain Marlowe stood beside her. "We'll start here," he said, pointing to a station orbiting a small Kindari moon. "It's a communications hub, quiet but powerful. If we control it, we'll control what the Varnak here." Vetra nodded. "That station was built by my people before they came." Lieutenant Hale walked in, holding a small data pad. "Your stealth team is ready. They'll go in fast, disable the systems, and leave a signal for us to follow." Vetra looked at him. "No fighting?" Hale shook his head. "We don't fight if we don't have to. We outthink." Later that day, in the deep black of space, a small human stealth ship glided toward the station. It used no lights. It sent no signal. It was like a breeze in the wind. Inside were 5 humans in dark suits, trained in silent missions. They spoke few words. They trusted each other completely. They had done this before on icy moons, floating ruins, and forgotten stations. But this time, it felt different. This time, it was for more than duty. The ship landed on the dark side of the moon. The team used hidden tunnels to enter the station. Varnak guards were there, but lazy, unafraid. They believed no one would dare approach. They were wrong. In less than 15 minutes, the humans shut down the main comms, cut the power to Varnak channels, and left behind a special signal. A Kindari song, one the Varnak wouldn't understand. But Kindari people would? When Vetra heard the message, she smiled. "It's a song my mother sang," she said softly. "Everyone will know help is here." On Kindari worlds, the song played through hidden channels. People heard it in quiet corners, in locked houses, in broken cities. Some cried, some smiled. But all of them knew someone had come. The Varnak, confused and angry, sent out warnings. But their own systems failed to work. They could not stop the signal. They didn't know how. The humans moved again. This time, they freed a food center. The Varnak had used it to control the people, giving food only to those who obeyed. But Earth's stealth team slipped in, changed the codes, and unlocked the supplies without hurting anyone. They fed 1,000 families. Captain Marlowe stood before his crew. "Every system we touch is one less tool the Varnak can use. Every voice we reach is one more spark of hope," Vetra added, "and every small act will grow into something greater." On the 3rd day, Earth's fleet sent out a quiet wave of drones. These drones flew over Kindari cities, dropping simple things: lights, food packs, small devices with messages of support. They were like falling stars in the sky, soft, beautiful, and full of meaning. Children ran to pick up the glowing items. Elders watched with quiet tears. The Varnak, once feared, looked up in confusion. They did not understand how to stop this kind of help, because this was not war. This was kindness with a purpose. Inside the horizon, Vetra recorded a message. Her voice was calm but strong. "To my people, this is Vetra. I made it to Earth. And they heard us. They're here now, not to rule us, not to scare us, but to remind us of who we are. Brave, kind, free. You are not alone. Stand tall. The stars have not forgotten you." The message played across the sector. In secret, people began to stand taller. They spoke more freely. They remembered their old songs. They looked to the sky and waited, not with fear, but with hope. Captain Marlowe watched the reports. "Working," he said. Lieutenant Hale nodded. "The people are waking up." Vetra stood between them. They're ready to believe again. And when that belief grows, even the Varnak will feel it. Outside, in the deep space between planets, Earth's ships waited silently. They didn't fire. They didn't attack. They just moved. And the galaxy began to feel the shift. Asterisk. In the quiet hours before sunrise on the Kindari homeworld, something strange was happening. For the first time in many years, people walked the streets without lowering. Their eyes, they greeted one another. They shared food. They whispered about strange lights in the sky and the message from Vetra. Many still didn't believe it was real. But deep inside, something was changing. Hope was growing. The Varnock leaders felt the shift too. Their patrols reported strange failures in their systems. Food depots were suddenly open. Secret messages kept spreading. They called it chaos, but it was not. It was the slow return of freedom. Inside the command center of the Earthship Horizon, Captain Marlowe listened to a new message from one of Earth's ground teams. "The people are responding faster than expected," the report said. "No signs of panic, only courage." Marlowe turned to Vetra, who had just finished speaking to another group of Kindari leaders hiding underground. "They're ready," she said. "They've been waiting a long time for a sign. Now they have one." "Then it's time for the next step," Marlowe replied. "We don't want to take over their fight, but we can guide it." Lieutenant Hale entered the room. "We've located the main power relay that supports the Varnek's command system. It's buried under the old capital city. If we disable it, they'll lose control over the whole sector." "Can it be done quietly?" Vetra asked. Hale nodded. "We've already sent drones to scan it. No heavy guards. Varnock don't think anyone can reach it." "Then we show them what they've forgotten," Marlowe said. "The people don't. Stay silent forever." The mission team was chosen carefully to humans and to Kindari who had trained with them. The humans brought skill. The Kindari brought memory. They knew the tunnels, the secret paths under the city. They remembered. When those places were safe, as the team moved into position, the Kindari people above began to move too. They didn't fight. They didn't shout. They gathered. In houses, in courtyards, on rooftops. Some held candles. Some wore old family colors. They began to sing the song Vetra had sent, a soft, rising tune that spoke of stars, of freedom, of unity. The Varnek watched. With unease. They did not understand the song, but they felt its power. It was not a weapon. It was something stronger. Below the streets, the mission team reached the relay station. It was hidden behind a thick wall of metal, protected by security codes. The human technician worked fast, using a small tool to unlock the system. The Kindari beside him whispered directions. "Turn left here. My father helped build this part. The emergency system is behind that panel." Within minutes, they reached the power relay. The human touched a button on his wrist device. A soft beep echoed through the tunnel. "Signal sent," he said. "Captain, it's ready." Back on the horizon, Marlowe looked at the screen. Good. Let's show them we're here." With a single command, the Death Worlder fleet activated a new wave of quiet action. Not destruction, but disconnection. One by one, the Varnak systems started to shut down. Their cameras turned black. Their gates stayed open. Their drones lost control. The long-range communication went silent. On the Kindari homeworld, the people noticed. The guards stopped giving orders. The machines stopped listening. The streets grew quiet, but not in fear. In wonder, then someone shouted, "They're leaving," and it was true. In many places, the Varnak patrols began to retreat. Without orders, without power, and without control. They had no reason to stay. The people began to cheer. Vetra stood at the front of the control room, tears in her eyes. "It's happening. They're rising." Marlowe gave a small smile. "This is their moment. We just lit the spark." On the planet, people began to wave the old Kindari flag again. It was simple, just a star over water, but it meant everything to them. Children painted it on walls. Elders carried it through the streets, and in the skies above. The Earth's ships stayed silent, watching, ready, but not leading. Because this was not Earth's victory. It belonged to the people who had found their voices again. As the sun rose over the Kindari capital, Vetra sent one more message. "To every corner of our sector, this is just the beginning. We are not under control. Anymore, we are standing up, and we are not alone." Across nearby planets, others heard the message, and they stood up too. The Kindari people were no longer afraid. After the Varnock system shut down, the people of the Kindari homeworld stood tall. Their old songs filled the air. Flags waved in the wind. Families stepped out of hiding. Children laughed in the streets. For the first time in years, The air felt free, but freedom was not yet complete. Captain Marlowe stood inside the command room of the Horizon, looking at a map of the star sector. Dots marked every planet still under Varnock control. Though the Kindari world was waking, many others were still in the dark. Some didn't know help had come. Others feared the Varnak's return. "We need to move carefully," Marlowe said. "They still have bases on other worlds. If we push too fast, people may get hurt." Lieutenant Hale nodded. "But if we move too slow, they may take back what we've gained." Vetra stepped forward. "We don't have to move alone." Marlowe looked at her with interest. "What do you mean?" "The Kindari are ready to help. And not just us. Other species, too." The Varnock took their voices, but now maybe they'll use them. Marlowe thought for a moment. "Let's send a signal, quietly. A message of unity." Within hours, small message drones were launched from Earth ships. They flew across star paths, invisible to the Varnock. The message they carried was short: "You are not alone. The Varnock are not unbreakable. Help has come, and the light is spreading." The message reached distant worlds, places where people had given up hope. A mining colony on the frozen planet Tarius, farming moon where crops were stolen by Varnock. Ships. A trade station once full of life, now ruled by silence, and slowly, across these places, something beautiful began to grow resistance, but not with weapons. With courage, a Kindari elder named Solon walked to the center of his city and rang the old bell that had not sounded in 10 years. He said nothing, he only rang it once, but that one sound echoed across the land like thunder. Another world, a group of teachers began reading old books and public stories banned by the Varnock. People gathered quietly to listen. The Varnock noticed. They began to send new patrols. They ordered silence. They warned the people. But this time, no one bowed their heads. They had seen the stars move, and they remembered Earth's promise. Back on the horizon, the Earth crew prepared for the next step. "We've mapped their main supply route," said Hale. "If we block it, they'll weaken. No more food, no more power, no more fear." "But we'll do it smart," Marlowe replied. "No big battles. No danger to the innocent. It's just quiet precision." 3 human scout ships left the fleet and moved like shadows through space. They reached a key supply depot floating near a gas giant. It was large, heavily guarded but slow to respond. The scouts didn't attack it. Instead, they turned its own system against itself. They sent a false message at Varnock, ordering the base to power down for inspection. The Varnock officers, confused but loyal, followed the order. In 20 minutes, the depot went dark. Supply ships lost their paths. Other bases grew quiet. Varnock leaders began to argue. Their power was cracking from within. Marlowe smiled as the report came in. Another step forward. Vetra stood beside him. "And every step brings us closer to peace." But not everyone was happy inside a distant Varnock command ship. A tall officer named Commander Threx slammed his hand on the table. "Who are these humans?" he demanded. "They send no warnings. They fight no battles. They take without lifting a weapon. They are strange," another officer said. "But dangerous," Commander Threx growled. "If we cannot control through fear, then we must use something else. We must learn what they value." He looked at a screen showing the Kindari homeworld. "Start watching the humans closely. Watch their leaders. Watch that girl Vetra." He narrowed his eyes. "She may be the key." Back on the horizon, Vetra walked the quiet hallway of the ship. She looked out at the stars, wondering what was next. The people were standing again. Voices were rising. The Varnock were losing their grip, but she could feel that something was coming. A new challenge. One that wouldn't be solved by ships or plans. Something personal still. She stood strong, because she knew now one voice could start a wave. Waves, when joined, could shape the stars. Asterisk, the stars were no longer silent. Across the sector, the Varnock were losing control. More people stood up each day, or planets joined the silent resistance. And above them all, the Death Worlder fleet continued to move, quiet, careful, and always watching. But deep in space, the Varnak were preparing something new. Commander Threx stood in the dark room of his warship. His eyes stared at a large screen filled with images of Earth's ships, Kindari messages, and Vetra's speech. He didn't understand how the humans had spread so far, so fast. They didn't come with fire, he muttered. They came with hope. What? Of his officers stepped forward. Sir, we have tracked the Earth ship Horizon, and we have found the Kindari girl. Threx turned slowly. Good. We won't attack their fleet. Not yet. We'll find what they care about and strike there. Back on the Horizon, Vetra had no idea that danger was coming. She was busy helping Captain Marlowe and Lieutenant Hale build a new plan. People on Tarias are ready to join, she said. They've started flying their old flags again. They just need a signal, Marlowe nodded. We'll send a supply ship, quietly. No weapons, just help. We want them to see we're not here to rule. We're here to remind them they're not alone. As the message was sent, Earth supply ships moved through hidden routes toward the icy world of Tarias. Each ship carried food, clean water, medicine, and solar power units. Not a single weapon was on board. People of Tarias watched from their small shelters. They had lived in fear for too long. When the ships landed, the crews stepped out with open hands. One woman stepped forward. She looked tired, but her eyes were sharp. You're from Earth, she asked. The human leader smiled. Yes, and we're here to help. People began to gather. The supplies were shared. Children laughed. For the first time in years, people lit fires not for warmth, but to celebrate VET. I watched the video feed from the Horizon. She felt her heart swell. We're doing it. We're making a difference. But then something changed. An alert appeared on the main screen. Marlowe's voice turned serious. We have an incoming signal. One of our scout drones found something. Screen showed a hidden Varnak base deep in an asteroid field. It wasn't large, but its signal was strange, encrypted, fast, and focused on just one thing. U.S. Hale said. They're watching us closely. Marlowe narrowed his eyes. They're planning something. That night, as the Horizon floated silently near a gas planet, Vetra walked alone in the observation room. Stars stretched across the glass like tiny lamps in the sky. She felt proud, but also uneasy. Something in her heart told her this quiet wouldn't last. Suddenly, a soft alarm beeped. A message blinked on the wall. Vetra of Kindari, come alone, or others will suffer. Her heart stopped. The message had no name. But she knew who sent it. The Varnak Vetra rushed to Marlowe's office. You're trying to scare me, she said, showing him the message. They think I'll run. Or maybe they want to take me. Marlowe looked at the screen. This is a trap, I know, Vetra said. But maybe we can turn it around. He stared at her, unsure. I'll go, she said. But not alone. I'll wear a tracking device. I'll keep the com open. Let them think they've won something. Hale stepped in, and we'll follow. Quietly, if they try anything, we'll be ready. Marlowe gave a slow nod. All right, but no risks. We go smart. Later, a small ship left the Horizon. Vetra sat inside, wearing a calm face and a small earpiece. She followed the coordinates the message had given. The ship flew toward the edge of the asteroid field, inside a shadowy cave on a rocky asteroid. The Varnak waited. Commander Threx stood with his arms crossed. So, he said, you came. Vetra stepped out, calm and steady. You sent the message, I answered. Threx circled her. You think the humans will win this? That you've already taken back your world? You've taken nothing? She met his eyes. We took back our voices. That's more than you ever gave. He smiled coldly. You're brave. I'll give you that. But bravery means nothing without power. Vetra stayed quiet. Far above, hidden behind the asteroids, the Earth scout team listened to every word. Elle's voice came through the com. Hold position. We're almost ready. Then Vetra took one slow step forward. You're afraid, she said softly. That's why you called me. You think if you stop me, everything will fall? Threx didn't reply. She looked around, but you're too late. And at that moment, The Earth team activated their silent signal. Hidden cameras around the cave turned on. Varnock guards were scanned, their weapons tagged. The entire location was now visible to Earth's fleet. Commander Threx's eyes widened. "What have you done?" Vetra smiled. "I gave my people a chance." Outside, Earth's ships moved into position. Quiet, clean, ready to end the trap without a single fire shot. The silence around the asteroid cave was thick. Commander Threx looked around, eyes sharp and furious. His small group of guards shifted nervously, feeling the weight of invisible eyes watching them. Vetra stood tall, calm as the stars outside. She knew help was close. The Earth Scout team waited, silent and ready, hidden behind the jagged rocks. "Your people have spies everywhere," Threx growled. "But it won't help. This place is mine." Vetra shook her head gently. "No place is yours. Not when people refuse to live in fear." Suddenly, the cave's lights flickered. A soft voice came through the cum in Vetra's ear. "Now, Vetra, hold steady." She nodded slightly. Outside, the Earth ships moved carefully. They didn't want battle. They wanted to end this quietly and cleanly. The goal was simple: capture the base, stop the Varnock plans, and free the Kindari people once and for all. Inside the cave, the Varnock guards began to sweat. They noticed movement on their sensors but couldn't find the source. The humans had mastered silence. Then, without warning, small magnetic clamps attached to the cave walls. Tiny drones entered the room, blinking softly. They scanned, recorded, and transmitted everything back to the fleet. Threx shouted, "Find them, stop them," but no one could. The drones moved too fast. Varnock weapons were slow and heavy. Vetra raised her hand. "It's over, Threx." He laughed bitterly. "You think this ends with you? There are more of us, or waiting." She smiled calmly. "Then they will see what happens when people stand together." At that moment, Earth ships began sending landing pods. Soldiers moved out quietly, surrounding the asteroid. They were trained for peace, but ready for any fight. The Varnock guards realized they were trapped. One of them shouted, "We fight for the Varnock." Another said, "We do what we must." But the Earth soldiers moved carefully. They offered hands, not weapons. "Surrender peacefully," they said. "No one will be harmed." The Varnock hesitated. Us. Some looked around, scared. Others clenched fists, unsure. Vetra stepped forward. "This is your chance. You don't have to be enemies. You can choose freedom." Slowly, one by one, the guards dropped their weapons. The Varnock commander looked at Vetra. "You win for now?" She nodded. "It's not about winning. It's about living." Back on the horizon, Captain Marlowe smiled as he watched the live feed. "It's a new day," he said. One step closer, Vetra joined him. This was not just a battle of ships. It was a battle of hearts. Marlowe nodded. And humans have always believed in hearts. Vetra looked out the window. The stars twinkled like promises. She thought of her people, standing strong on their worlds. She thought of the many planets still waiting for help, and she knew their fight was far from over. But now, hope was alive, because when people choose to stand, no force can hold them down forever. Asterisk, the stars shone bright as the Kindari. People celebrated their freedom. News of the Varnock's fall spread across the sector like wildfire. Planets long silent now hummed with life. Markets reopened. Children played in streets once empty. Music returned to the air. Vetra stood on the surface of her homeworld, looking up at the sky. The Earth ships still floated above, quiet guardians. Watching over a new beginning, Captain Marlowe joined her. "You did well," he said softly. Vetra smiled. "We did it together," Marlowe nodded. "The galaxy will remember this day." "But their work was not over. There are other worlds," Vetra said. "Other people still waiting for help." Marlowe put a hand on her shoulder. "Then we will go to them. Together." Across the stars, the Death Worlder fleet moved again. But this time it was different. They carried more than ships. They carried hope, friendship, and promised that no one would face darkness alone. On one distant planet, a small group watched the sky. They saw the glowing ships and heard the stories. They smiled for the first time in many years. A young child asked, "Who are they?" An elder answered, "They are the ones who remember what it means to be free." Back on Kindari, Vetra addressed her people. "We have won a great victory," she said. "But our true strength is not in ships or weapons. It is in our hearts. We must build a future where no one lives in fear, where all voices are heard." Crowd cheered. Captain Marlowe watched the scene and whispered, "This is what makes humans different. Hope, kindness, and strength without hate." Vetra turned to him. "You taught us that." Marlowe smiled. "We learned from each other." As the sun set over the Kindari world, the stars above promised a new era, one where the galaxy would no longer be ruled by fear, but guided by courage and friendship, and the Death Worlder fleet, quiet but powerful, stood ready to protect that future. Because when people choose hope over hate and unity over fear, the stars themselves shine brighter.